What's up, guys? Welcome back to Stephen Stoneful Irish Rugby, where we talk all things Irish Rugby related. And the Six Nations is here, thank God. And I must say, it's been a whole year for the Six Nations, even though we got in the autumn. But I'm not alone. I got my first guest, part of many other good guests, along with the next match previews. Tell me preview what their teams are going to be like going forward in the Six Nations, and help me to do that with Ireland against Wales in the Six Nations on Saturday at the Aviva Stadium. I brought along my good friend Brandon Smith from BS Rugby, who's a massive Welsh fan, Irish fan. Just want to say, mate, welcome back to the channel.
Hey, thank you very much. It's good to be back. And as you said, exciting time. Six Nations just 3 days away now. So really excited.
Oh, yeah, 3 days away. You can't wait any longer. It's already massively towards it. So, Brandon, the Six Nations is back, and I'm sure you're hyped as well as I am to get international back on again, because I know we get sort of like club rugby sort of every week now. You're an Austrish fan and an Ulster fan. We're sort of getting used to it now with season tickets and what have you. But international rugby. I mean, yes, we had it in the autumn, but what's so well? I think that what a good question is to open up. How good is the Six Nations for maybe worldwide rugby, and why is it such watched worldwide? Because I know you have the likes of New Zealand, the Wallabies, and maybe South Africa, who would maybe target more because because they're probably the best top three teams in the world. But in your opinion, what makes the Six Nations this much better of a competition maybe than the Rugby Championship in itself?
I think one big thing it's got in favour of it is the tradition. There's a lot of tradition involved in it. Of course, traditionally you had 5 teams involved, but of course now we got Italy since 2000. But it's the tradition of it all, isn't it? It's been going on for many a year, and it is a competition where, especially this year, you could say that 5 of the teams could win it. And yes, I am putting Wales in that conversation. But yeah, 5 teams could win it. And I think that's the excitement of it. The fans are incredible. The stadiums are full no matter which game you go to. The stadiums are always full. The atmosphere and the way that fans from all across the Six Nations come together and just enjoy rugby. And I think that's one of the positives for this year is fans are going to be back. People can travel to games. I've got friends who are going over to the Aviva. So, yeah, it's going to be really exciting. And I do believe it's the best annual international tournament there is in the world.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, because I think beforehand we were all kind of speculating that there was a slight possibility that the Six Nations were likely, because the way the variant was going about a month ago, and when everyone was busy at that point, people were saying the lines of hypothetical that all the games could be played at Wembley Stadium, and I definitely could have got behind that, because I just thought you don't want to go back, Brandon, to like empty stadiums again. I don't think the Six Nations will afford to do that, especially Ireland. I mentioned Ireland is sick. Like, I heard that if Ireland would have had no stadiums, full houses again in this for the Six Nations, that it was going to financially impact them in a way that I didn't like. So I'm sure I think, Brandon, we're sure grateful that the fans are back and that we didn't have to go for another Six Nations, without those them empty houses, seats,
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. To get fans back, that's what makes our sport so great. You could sit anywhere in the Aviva or in the Principality, and you're not guaranteed to sit with someone from the same country. We mix the fans, you have a laugh, you have a joke, but you enjoy the game together. And at the end, you buy each other a pint or whatever you do. So I think having fans back, as you said, is great. Also, as you alluded to just then, the money around it. I don't know if these nations could really have coped with empty stadiums again. It's just an opportunity for them to make a bit of money. I mean, 74,000 at the Principality. The Aviva's about 50 odd thousand. Twickenham 90,000. I mean, they're full. They sell. Tickets are very expensive, which is a bit of an issue that I think they need to look into. But to have fans back, what makes the tournament what it is. And the players this week have also spoken about that. Dan Bigger spoke a lot about that this week. So, yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I just wanted to get your thoughts from an Irish perspective, even though this is an Irish channel. I just wanted to get your respect on Ireland as the rest of coming into the tournament. After a really successful autumn in November series, against New Zealand, that kind of been the standout one, really. And the squad that they've got is really starting to take shape. I think for Farrell, that's Farrell's sort of taking the side for what he's got so far from Joe Schmidt, and I think it's been taking time in a way. But so, what for you, Brandon? What have you kind of made of from them, say, from when they were sort of from last year's Six Nations to where they are now. Where did you see the comparisons from then to now?
I think last Six Nations, you'd have to say they were a little bit one-dimensional in the way that they played. Maybe still living in that Schmidt way of playing, and it was very up and down, wasn't it? You got a really good win against Italy. You then lost against, you lost against us first, and you lost against France as well, and then obviously you beat the Italians. You get a good win against England, and I think that England game was the sign of what you guys were able to do. But then in the autumn, I was just blown away by the way that you played. Before the Japan game, I was chatting to a few Irish fans, and they were saying, "Oh, it could be a potential banana skin. It could be a difficult game," but you smashed them by about 60 points. And then against the All Blacks, just what a performance that was, and what a result as well. And the way that you guys played in that was absolutely brilliant to see. And I just think that this Irish team is really exciting. The squad that's been picked, there's a few people that I'm really excited to see how they get on that international level and see how they do and how much game time they have. And I just think that Andy Fowler has helped you to have different ways to play. There's not just one way that you do very well. There are 3 or 4 different options. And I think it's going to be a very difficult game for us on Saturday.
Yeah, I think the points you made are very valid because whenever I was questioning the Ireland squad, maybe I think about 2 years ago, and whenever Smith left and we had Farrell, and the thing that I struggled with, to be fair, was the whole line-out situation for Ireland at the time because we didn't have anyone there to help us really. Because yes, James Ryan and Henderson are really outstanding players, but no one was really giving them the opportunity to show what they were doing from that line-out. I mean, the line-out was very scrappy at times for Ireland in 2020. It was just very predictable, really. Like we lost to England, I think, at the third game. Yes, we beat Scotland and Wales, but after that, it was very predictable. It kind of was going back to the World Cup stage, and that's when we heard the news. I think soon on that we got Paul O'Connell into the top that out, and I think ever since Paul O'Connell's come in, mate, I think he's added something there to the front row that's been needed for a long, long time. I think they'll around from Joe Schmidt's era has sort of led apart from Simon used to be, or I think my cat has come in, and then you have Paul O'Connell. So you definitely think that this team is sort of. I'm not going to get ahead of myself because I just think I've done it before, 2018. I just thought I'm going to become the best team in the world because I just thought being the All Blacks, win the Grand Slam. I thought that was going to take us to the 2019 World Cup, and it ended up really backfiring us. And I just thought I can't get my expectations up again in a World Cup cycle because I just thought you can't keep going. Yes, it's good to win Six Nations, what have you, Brandon, but it's, all I would say is like you need to plan for the next World Cup. In my opinion, I think I've said it loads of times, even on this channel. I mean, from you, I'm pretty sure you agree. I think what would you made of Paul O'Connell coming in? Because I think when he took over last year in 2020, yes, he was beginning, but I think Paul O'Connell made us come in and then he's really sort of added something that's not to that front road. Would you say?
Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely agree with everything that you say. I think Paul O'Connell was a needed addition to the squad. First of all, when he comes in, he straight away has the respect of the players just because of the career that he's had. Obviously, Irish captain, British and Irish captain as well. So he's been very, very much at the top of the game. And then you look at one of this team's strength, the Irish's team's strength is their driving maul. Their driving maul is just incredible at the minute. If that's Henderson catching the line out, if that's a Byrne catching the line out, then the ball goes back to Kelleher and you just push from there. And I think he's added a lot in that sense. And I think he's been a really good addition to the coaching setup.
Yeah, I think what has changed really from that last year was because we had Rob Herring, we had Keane Healy, and as our starters along with Ty Furlong, we had Dave Kilcoyne, and I think was it Finlay Billiam? I've got no idea. It was Andrew Porter on the bench actually. And what we've done is we've brought in Andrew Porter to play number 1, and we've brought in Ronan Callagher to Ty Furlong, and we've got Keane Healy now on the bench with Finlay Billiam. Now, to me, I think that's an improvement from what I saw last year because I don't know if it's Rob Herring, but he's now third choice. For me, he's going to be first choice for Ulster, and I think I can get positive behind that going forward for Aaron because if you have Dan Shield on the bench, you got Ronan Kelleher on the bench, you got Keane Healy on the bench. Come on, Finlay Beelan from Connacht, who's is definitely their best number 3, who can come on, and then there's Ty Furlong and Andrew Porter. Yeah. It's something I can definitely get behind in the front row because I just think that it's moving in a way that Farrell's working for Farrell. I just don't want. I hope that Ireland don't go back to ways that I've seen it before and just that's the basics and slip it up against. But look, I'm pretty sure that's another conversation for another day when it comes to World Cup cycle. But that's when I want to get the next question, Brandon. I want to ask you is, so I guess we're from Welsh perspective now, from where you have made the squad this year, from your perspective, and yes, I know you're the reigning champions from last year, but you'd have to say the injury list really couldn't come from a worse time for you lot, and Wales. I don't mean it this way, but I think I read that they have their squad that's not available for this tournament. But what if you kind of made it the whole situation in terms of this injury list?
It's a big injury list. Yes, it is a very big injury list. But in the past, when we've been up against it, where people don't expect anything from us, we turn up. We turn up and we do it. And I think similar to you guys now, we do have strength in depth. We do have players who can come in. The big area that we are struggling with this year is in the back row. Navidi's out, Falatau's out, Tipuric is out, Alan Wynne is out in the locks. But we have good players who can step in. You look at Tane Basham from last year. He was the big star who came out of, well, not out of nowhere, because he'd been doing well for the Dragons, but no one knew he could get to that level. And he comes in and he makes such a good impact, and he's so involved. Jack Morgan is another one, young player at the Ospreys, coming through. Really excited to see how he gets on. So yes, we do have a lot of injuries, but we do have a lot of options. But we have even more injuries now. We have Halaholo is unlikely to play now, which is a real shame, and we have a few areas that might be a bit concerning. But my hopes that Pivac has had enough time with the squad now to really get his ideas across, and that whoever steps into the jersey, doesn't matter, he fits into the does the role. So hopefully that's the case, but we have to wait and see.
I think, because whenever I looked at past Welsh squads, I just thought I can't write this Welsh teams off, because they're doing madnesses, and that's what kind of inspires me to watch rugby, because of how they play. You know what I mean? Especially when they won Grand Slams and what have you. I just think whenever I looked at Wales coming into this tournament, it was very weird to what I was looking at a few years ago in the Six Nations, because there was all this talk. I don't know, as a Welsh fan, that I've heard from talking to you about this. I don't think I've ever spoken to you about it, but I've heard that there's real financial trouble in the Welsh regions with the four clubs, and I think I might have heard that the Dragons, for some reason, maybe want to link up with is it the Scarlets merging into one team up north in Wales? I heard one time, but it's gone to a stage when I look at financially Wales, it's very, very, I wouldn't say if it's worrying, but from your perspective, and I don't know if this affects the national team, because but the players that are coming through the Welsh system at the moment, and that maybe some of them you say are not really kind of performing at the levels you expect to see. But even though we saw the Cardiff Blues pull up a massive win at home against Leicester in a full house, and you thought that this was sort of the catalyst maybe to hope that there is some future for these young stars. How do you see the future of this Welsh system going forward?
I don't think the situation is as bad as people make out. Here in Wales, we like to look at the worst in everything for some strange reason, and there are parts of the media, I won't name them, but there are parts of the media that do like to spur on bad news all the time, and everything's doom and gloom. As you saw on the weekend, Cardiff, yes, probably Leinster's second team, but we know how strong Leinster are anyway, and Cardiff were missing a lot of the international boys anyway. Got a really good win stuck in there. Us, the Ospreys, we've been so up and down this season. We've had really poor performances in Europe. And we go beat Edinburgh, who probably are the form team in the competition this year. Scarlets gave you guys a really good game. Probably should have had a red card, if you don't mind me saying.
Don't worry, mate. There are people among me that I knew that were saying red card all day long. So
yeah, so it's it's not. Yes, there are financial issues. When the regions came in, don't want to give you a history lesson, but when the regions came in 2003. That's 2003. It's not that long ago. It's not even 20 years ago. I mean, the four provinces in Ireland have been there for so long. They're just natural provinces, aren't they? Ulster, Connacht, Leinster, and Munster. They have their areas. They have that natural support. The regions don't have that. It's a new thing. So why people expect us to be competing at the top all the time, I don't understand. But the difficult thing is with this Gatland's law, the 60 cap law, personally, I'm against it. I would like to see players get an opportunity to go abroad, to play, learn, get better. and then it gives youngsters an opportunity. But then you want to keep the best players in Wales so people do go and watch. It's a difficult one. I don't have the answer, but I don't think it's as bad as people make out. And as I've said, young players like Jack Morgan, Tane Basham coming through, Kieran Hardy, players like this, Louis Rees-Zammit, all of them except for Louis Rees-Zammit play in Wales, and they're so exciting young players. So the systems do work, but could they work better? Yes, I think so.
I mean, yeah, because look at the Cardiff Blues, for example. I think they progressed massively. Well, did in the past. I think the Ospreys have got a bit to go, and I think like the Scarlets as well. And I don't know about the Dragons, but how they turn up. But I think the Dragons are still like maybe I don't know the bottom or third in my opinion of the list. But I think Cardiff Blues, you'd have to say, are the kind of team the ones that are really showing anything that are really impressing me. From a rugby fan's perspective. But yeah, I mean, in terms of I wanted to ask you this question, but I just thought it'd be too predictable, this week. Because I know you probably predict. Where do you see the Wales in all the games from the Six Nations from now in Dublin to about your last game in the Six Nations? How would you think they will do? Like ranking them from the start to the finish? Because you want to get off to a good start in Dublin because you just know that the players that they'll have in place. The team announcement I think for Ireland will be announced tomorrow, and I expect Wales to do the same. I think I see Ireland potentially line up similar to what they had against the All Blacks, and maybe I would only see Balakoon being brought into the occasion. But how do you see this Welsh team going up against this Irish pack that are really showing really good in form for Andy Farrell? And how do you see it going in Dublin?
First of all, it's going to be a very difficult game. I think having you guys first might actually be a good thing because I think the Six Nations is all about momentum, and I would rather face you guys on the first weekend than on the third or fourth weekend where you guys have got a couple of really good wins under your belt, your players are flying, you're doing amazing. Yes, you came off a great win against the All Blacks in Argentina, but that was 3 months ago. Them players haven't all played together unless they've been at Leinster, which Leinster just seem to be the Irish team at the minute. But no, look, I think first 20 minutes is key in this game. First 20 minutes is so important. If we let you take control of the game, if we let you dictate the way you want to play, if we let Sexton have time on the ball, if we let Byrne at the breakdown start to get over the ball, if we let the likes of Hugo Keenan run around and have all the space that he wants, we're going to lose, and we're going to lose heavily. But if we can get control of the game in the first 20 minutes, we can be a nuisance at the breakdown. We can allow Dan Biggar to win that battle over Johnny Sexton. We can get the ball into the hands of Louis Rees-Zammit, and we can take our points when we get the chances to do that. I do think we stand a chance. I think people have completely ruled us out, and I think that's nonsense. I think we do stand a chance. It's going to be very, very difficult. Of course it is. But again, we have to quieten the crowd, which isn't always easy, but you've got to do it. And we've got to do the simple things. And also, I know it's a bit of a joke. People are like, oh, yeah, the refs, you paid the refs last year. It's a load of nonsense, obviously. At the end of the day, just don't get your players sent off, I would say. But we have to be smart with things like that. We've got to play the simple stuff well and just not allow Ireland to get the control of the game. Because I don't want us to see us sit back. If we sit back, it's game over. So we have to go for it, and we have to be confident. So first 20 minutes, so important.
Yeah, it might definitely. I would never write a Welsh side ever because I remember the history lesson because 2012 Wales came over to Dublin in the Aviva Stadium, and I think it would expect Ireland to win that, but it was I don't know who the fly. I actually don't know who the fly half. I can't even remember who the fly half was for Wales at the time, but I think it might have been It might have been.
Might have been Stephen Jones, maybe.
But someone like Stephen, yeah, it might have been someone like Stephen Jones, and he kicked a late. I think it could have been the 80th minute to win the game for Wales 23-21, and it was actually. You remember this, Brandon? I think it was Stephen.
Yeah, I think it was Priestland.
That's who it was, yeah. And then Stephen Forrest got sim binned, and then Wales won the game, the opening game. So will history repeat itself? On Saturday night, we'll just have to wait and see. But I think to round up, your time on with this preview, Brandon, is for Wales' perspective, for the Six Nations overall coming up. Say if you won in Dublin that would be a good, massive start if you were to do that. But say with all these big games coming up, have the likes of England, Italy, Scotland, and even France. So I think France are, showing signs that this is be a really, really great side. But if you get the W on Saturday, does this drive this Welsh squad potentially to really go and show people that they've been people have proven the Welsh run every time, and that they can actually go and do something in this tournament?
Good question. I think, as Gatland said on his last time he was Wales head coach, he said, if we win the first game, we'll win the Six Nations. Who did we have first? I can't remember who we had first. We had either you or England first, or France. One really good team. He said, if we win this first game, we'll win the Six Nations. And we won the Grand Slam in 2019, I think it was.
Yeah. And you beat us on the day you won the Grand Slam.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that would be nice again, wouldn't it? But no, I think first game up, if you get a win, it's all about momentum in the Six Nations. You win your first game, then we have Scotland at home. We're at home, we're strong. Scotland are very, very good, but I think we can beat them. And then we have France at home, so we have 2 games on the bounce at home. Then we have Italy to finish on the last weekend. I mean, that's going to be, everyone's going to beat Italy easily this year. So I'm not going to give you a prediction, but I think if we do beat you, I think that could set up something quite special. I do. Do I think we're going to win the Six Nations? No, probably not. But I think we can beat you. I think we can do it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, mate. You've got to have that Welsh spirit all the time. I know the Welsh want to get the spirits up going, and but you know what? You cannot write the Welsh. I think the Welsh are one of my favorite teams, Brandon. You know what I mean? And for me, if my prediction for the game coming up, I think, to be honest, it'll be a really tight first half, in my opinion. And I think there will be times where Wales kind of will frustrate us, I think, if Aaron were to kind of drop off. But I think, to be honest with you, I think as an Irish fan's perspective, I kind of see us at the end of the day. I think we may just pull away from you in a way that's not too damning. But I think I would go for on the lines of maybe 19 points maybe to 11 points to Ireland. I think that'd be sort of a game, but we'll have to win and see, because it's rugby and you just.
Would you like to know my prediction?
Well, if you want to, mate.
I'm going to back us to get a win in Dublin. I am going to back us to win. I think if we can frustrate you in that first 20 minutes and just kick penalties and play sensibly, and the big battle is the breakdown. If we win the battle of the breakdown, which I think we can do, I think we win the game. So I'm going to say your scoreline isn't too ridiculous. I'm going to say 19-15 to Wales. I think we're going to have to score a couple of tries, which worries me a little bit. But I back our defence and I back our breakdown and bigger kicking the points. We're going to win. We're going to win. That's
of course, say. Yeah. I was just going to say Ireland are going to win as well. I cannot let your Wales come to Ireland and just spoil the party that we've been loving for the past 3 months. But with the squad and what the management's doing, but here we'll have to win. Mate. So thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to Steve from Irish Rugby. Plenty of Six Nations content coming up on the channel. Make sure, and also there'll be a match reaction after the Ulster versus Connacht game on Friday. Unfortunately, I might not be there because due to my positive COVID test, but sure, I've seen Connacht already. This Ulster against Connacht already, and it did not go well in October. But I back the Ulstermen and I back the Irish, and hopefully see the Welsh get on Saturday. And thank you, Brandon, very much for coming on the channel. And can you just let people know who haven't subscribed to your channel where they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. BS Rugby, just type in BS Rugby. As you can see on the screen, Stephen's actually going to be joining me on a watch-along for the game, a live watch-along. So Ireland against Wales, an Irishman and a Welshman. So it should be good fun. Kick-off for that is...
Quarter-past 2. So the time will be 2:15. 2:15.
Yeah, 2:15. So we'll go live about 2 o'clock for that. We got previews coming out and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, watch-along on Saturday. Join us for that. But always a pleasure to be on your channel, Stephen.
No problem, man. No problem. So make sure to tune in for that on Saturday. Go to the channel in the link below of this video. And thanks very much, Brandon, for joining this preview. Big videos coming up on this channel. To everyone else, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys